Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, it's me GamerTurk and this is my impressions on Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet DLC 1, Ambush of the Imposters as it's known in the West, and Champion of Gunfire in Japan. I would call this an ultimate review, but the scope of the DLC does not really warrant a deep term like review due to following the episodic formula. Anyways, the first DLC for Fatal Bullet came out yesterday, 27th of April in the West, one day after its initial Japanese release. The PC version had an authentication issue at the beginning, not allowing access to the DLC content, but that was solved within hours. The DLC is very comparable to the Axel World vs Sword Art Online DLC in terms of length, albeit being slightly better in terms of meaningful story content. Ambush of the Imposters is not a fan service DLC where you meet people like Alice and Yu-Gi-Oh and get to punch Oberon to death. It is an actual content DLC similar to Hollow Realizations DLCs. Sadly, it also adapts the episodic DLC formula and does not really offer a satisfying conclusion in the end. I have played through the entire DLC in about 1.5 hours, and when this video goes up you will be able to watch the second part of the DLC, which is the midpoint. The third part, which is the ending of the DLC, will be up tomorrow. While I'll talk about the story content here first, I will be talking about it in a very shallow manner. Unless you're very spoiler sensitive, this shouldn't really bother you. If you watch the DLC trailer, you won't be surprised by my synopsis here. This DLC takes place before the ending of Fatal Bullet, somewhere between reaching the forest area and starting the SPC Flügel questline. A bunch of new Arphasis units seem to be appearing as clones of existing characters, so we go out to investigate. As we arrive at the one new dungeon the game offers, we encounter Arphasis copies of Kureha and Itsuki. Both seem very cheerful and unlike the Kureha and Itsuki we know right now. While Kureha realizes that the Alpha Kureha is imitating her old self with her equipment and personality, Itsuki completely rejects that notion, initially at the very least. Zeliska returns from her investigation that the characters do not have a clue what it's all about due to the events taking place before the ending and Zeliska's true identity reveal of course, but she brings 3 new characters with her: Yamikaze, Dain, and Musketeer X from the Phantom Bullet arc. While they are only there to be introduced as characters and don't really have any effect on the story whatsoever, at the very least they were properly introduced before being added to your party roster. I'm looking at you, Sachi DLC in Axel World vs SAO. In the end, we find Alpha Itsuki and defeat him and push Itsuki to give up on hiding his past. I honestly feel like this moment was done quite well and gave us a huge insight on how Itsuki has become who he is. This also goes for other characters, Kureha and Zeliska, regarding how the virtual world changed them over time, but Itsuki obviously had the most drastic change here. It is very similar to how Kirito changed over the course of Aincrad, starting out as a loner with not much passion, eventually learning to trust and befriend others, just the complete opposite way. While the story itself is not concluded, as in we don't get to learn where all these Alpha copies are coming from or how to stop them, I feel like the outcome, with the pasts of each characters having some light shed onto them, is a satisfying ending in terms of an episodic story progression at least. I would still appreciate if these character backstories were actually in the main game though, as they are quite integral to understanding where these characters are coming from. And of course the DLC ends with Kirito and Asuna's Alpha clones appearing, and on that cliffhanger the DLC ends, which is... I just hate this practice. Give me complete stories, people! As for the gameplay side of things, the core gameplay is still the same. I'm pretty sure there are some minor fixes here and there, but no drastic changes like back in Hollow Realization, where the entire combat was overhauled with the DLC. The one dungeon that you go through in the campaign is the only dungeon addition in this DLC. The patch notes mention that bosses were added, as in plural, but the one boss I have encountered so far is the one you face in the story, the Elemental Wizard. Though, for full disclosure, I did not have any strolls throughout the maps to see what else was added, so bosses in plural can still be the case. But I also want to talk about this boss in the story, ignoring the part that the difficulty curve is once again quite steep if you never grinded levels and equipment outside of the story. Elemental Wizard is the best boss I have encountered in this game mechanically. It is really chaotic with multiple different attacks, with the boss having 3 different phases to it. It always keeps you engaged. While you won't see it in my playthrough, I actually died multiple times against this boss while recording, but I never felt frustrated because when I died, it was because of my own mistake, while the boss attacks were quite reasonable. Remembering back at the giant claw doggo bosses in the main campaign that were outright broken because of the pace of their attacks and reach, Elemental Wizard never has any broken attacks as long as you are on your toes. Also, at a glance the boss doesn't seem to have a weak spot, but you need to look carefully. They actually made the crit spot something that will push you to take risks. His palms that are only visible once the boss is attacking is its weak spot, so you really have to time things right or watch out who the boss is focusing on at that moment to get those crit shots in. All in all, I really enjoy this boss, and the fact that you can farm Galactic Estoc, the best sword in the game, is a huge plus for me, despite swords not playing very well in general. Anyways, there are new weapons, new equipments, customization options such as faces and outfits have been added as well for those who are interested, but more importantly, Team Deathmatch has been introduced to PvP, where you can shoot people down without worrying about a boss, which is nice. I mean, multiplayer isn't that great due to the bad netcode lying behind, but having the boss step out is a welcome addition. But the new main mode added in this DLC is the Bullet of Bullets. Now, when I first heard about this and how it worked, I was incredibly disappointed. The biggest letdown was that it was an offline mode, meaning that you will be fighting against the AI. But now, knowing the connection quality provided by this game, I'm sort of glad this isn't an online battle royale mode. As for the mode itself, for once AI does not aggro on you at all cases. It is modified to see everyone as enemies, as it should, which makes the overall game mode less frustrating, but also makes it very cheesable by staying safe and waiting for the enemy to take out each other. But again, that is the true nature of battle royale games, so no complaints here on that end. And if you're properly leveled, of course, the tournament part is actually quite fun to play as you shred through enemies, so I am surprisingly positive about the addition of this mode. But that was pretty much it in terms of my impressions of the first DLC, Ambush of the Imposters, aka Champion of Gunfire, for Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. It is certainly 1 or 2 steps above the horrible Axel World vs Sword Art Online DLC, but is not quite on the same level as the Hollow Realization DLCs. I hope this review helps you decide whether you should get the DLC or not. My Fixing the Sword Art Online Gameverse series continues next Friday with a critical look at the ever-growing cast and how it affects storytelling as well as presentation, so make sure to subscribe for that and hit the bell icon to get notified once the video goes live. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and share, of course. If you have questions, feel free to ask and I will answer. If you enjoy my content, do consider supporting me at patreon.com/gamertorque to help me create more of these, because sure as hell, YouTube isn't helping me with those ad rates. You can also find me on Twitter at gamertorque95 and on facebook.com/gamertorque. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.